What's up, music teachers? Today, I want to share with you the biggest lessons that I've learned from being able to book 35 calls in the last 30 days. And especially if you are trying to sell high ticket like online courses for your music studio, this is going to be the perfect video because I want to share with you the biggest lessons, how you can be able to implement these things as well so that you can be able to get more students, make a bigger impact on the world. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. I do want to talk about first the biggest problems I see with a lot of teachers, though, which are going to be important for like setting the stage here, and sharing with you like why these lessons are so important. So these are like mistakes that I've made as well when I first started my studio, and especially building this business too. And the biggest things I see a lot is that music teachers, they use the social media to sell their lessons. And when I say sell, like I don't know if you've ever seen those posts before where it's like they'll post like a picture of like a musical instrument and they'll be like, "Hey, there are spots open. Here are the prices. Click this link to go to our website and sign up." It's like those posts are really great. But what happens a lot is that if we think of the market as like this entire spectrum, those posts that are directly trying to sell people and get them to buy right now, they're just hitting like the small percentage of the people who are really hot, those hotter leads, where we have the whole warmer section and the really big cold section of things that we need to, of the cold section of the audience that we need to nurture and get them to those hot leads. So, that's really the reason why like posting your website on social media and expecting people to sign up doesn't really work anymore. And what I see a lot is these teachers end up feeling really anxious about not just having a little bit of inquiries, not like they're not only feeling anxious because they don't have enough inquiries, but they feel lost not knowing how to even get their next inquiry. And that's really where I want to serve you all here watching, and really where I want to share these lessons is to solve that main problem. Because it's one thing to not have enough inquiries. Like that's a totally normal problem that every studio goes through. But what's worse than that is not knowing how to solve it. So that I really want to solve the root issue here, give you some of the biggest lessons that you can do so that every time you're in a rut, even if you're in like, even if there's like a recession that's happening, you know how to take control and you know how to consistently book calls so that you never feel like you're ever feeling lost or drowning in the middle of the ocean anymore. So I share this, not to make you feel bad, especially if you're in a situation right now where you feel like, oh, I don't have enough inquiries, but I want to empower you to know that, hey, there is a solution. There is a way to finally have control and consistency with the amount of inquiries and leads that you're getting for your music studio. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. The three biggest lessons I want to share here. Go ahead and write them down too, especially if you're watching this video as you're on your computer. But write these down because I'm going to list it out. We're going to go through each one of them step by step. So the first one is you need to have a script. The second one are action posts, posting action posts. I'll talk about that, what those look like in a bit. But also the last one is I call it MOMO, and that stands for make offers more often. So MOMO. Go ahead and write that down as the third and final lesson here. So let's go ahead and dive into the script. And before we do that, though, there's one note that I wrote here on my notes that I did want to share, and that what is the purpose of social media? And a lot of people think that like social media is there to sell, but in fact, like Facebook wasn't even, although there is a lot of selling on Facebook that happens, Facebook was not created to sell like initially, right? It was initially created to create connections it's a social media network. So what we need to do is understand like how do we use post content? How do we use our DMs to be able to generate calls? Well, we got to think of your DMs as a bridge, right? It's just a bridge of taking someone from a social media channel to a more appropriate sales setting, which is probably going to be a call. So we're going to talk about ways on how we can take someone from social media, someone just scrolling on social media, to actually getting them to talk to us either on the phone or through a Zoom call. And the first way on how to do that is having a script. So having a script, and when I say script, like it's less, what's more important is not just having a script, but more of a framework. So we'll just say having a framework for knowing how to take someone from social media to a call. Because the biggest problem that I see, like the biggest outright problem I see with most music teachers and most of the teachers that do work with me, is that they just don't have a system. They don't have a script. They don't have a framework to know how to approach like their audience. So what ends up happening is that when people do inquire, they ask about their price, and then they give the price. The teacher gives the price to the student, and then they end up ghosting you. But the problem with that is that when we give our price right away, we are we are allowing our audience, we're allowing your potential students to make an informed decision that's or make a decision that's based on scarcity, right? Where the first thing that they think of is, can I afford this or not? What they should be thinking about though is is having an informed decision that's based on value first. So before you can give your prices out or anything like that, what you should be doing, just like a doctor prescribing a medicine, is that you need to ask them these questions. You need to ask them questions on, can I help you or not? That's the very first thing. So having a framework to ask the right questions to get them to first understand, hey, can so and so help me? Can Ben help me? Can John help me? Like those are the things that are super super important first. So how do we do that? What are some examples of questions that we can be able to ask? Before we get into that, what we need to understand is, how do we get someone to a call? It's just by creating a gap. That's it. So creating a gap between where they're currently at, their current situation, and their desired situation, and figuring out what is the problem in between that is causing them or that is stopping them from being able to reach that goal. So if we think of those three things as like points, check marks, we could also think of those as questions to ask as well. So we need to ask a question that helps us understand their current situation, their desired situation, their goal, but also the thing in the middle, their problems. So if we were to think of the framework as like a 3-step framework, really the only three questions we need to ask here, current situation question. So that question could just be something about like, hey, what are you doing right now? What's your, if you're a composition coach, a good question to ask is, hey, what's your songwriting process right now? If you're a piano teacher, hey, what are you doing right now to work on your songs? What does your practice structure look like so far? That's something important to ask them right now. Or it could be anything else that just gets you to understand as the teacher what is happening right now in their current situation. The next thing is their desired situation. This is something that a lot of teachers miss out, miss out on asking. Is like their goal, and it's like, where is that leading you? And the goal, what's important to distinguish here is that the goal that you ask, or the goal that you want to get out, is shouldn't be like a small goal. It's not just like, hey, I want to learn my scales or anything like that, but overall goal of like, what are those little things going to help you achieve? Kind of like the big aspirational goals. It's going to be really important. So a good question I like to ask is like, hey, in terms of goals, what are you looking to achieve with your piano playing, or your piano playing career, your musical journey? Like, what are you looking to achieve? Even if you're talking to like a parent, it's like, hey, what are you looking to achieve for your child with even putting them in music lessons, right? What is that going to do? What do you feel like that's going to do for them? Getting them to that goal. And then in the middle, now the third question that we want to ask is the problem. So now the easiest question I like to ask is like, hey, what's stopping you from getting there, right? What challenges have stopped you from being able to get to that goal? Have you tried looking for a teacher in the past? Like, what has stopped you from being able to actually find a solution to get there? Then from there, we don't need to give them a solution right away, but really the next part is just asking them to get on a call, which moves into like the next lesson here is Momo. And I'm gonna say that one first because I think it ties in really well with this first lesson. The next one is actually making more offers more often, right? Make offers more often, because most of the time, the reason why the reason why my teachers that I work with, like when they come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm not booking enough calls," the first thing I'm gonna ask is like, "Are you offering calls?" And most of the time, that solves the problem right away, right? Because all you really need to do is just ask someone to get on a phone call. And when you ask someone to do that, and you've built enough trust through the conversation, you've built enough trust through your content, they're most likely going to say, "Yeah, yeah, let's hop on a call." Um, but also what's important with that as well is that we need to understand what we can control and what we can't control. So oftentimes, like what we can't control is people accepting that offer of us, like of getting on that call. What we can't control is what people, we can't control how people make decisions. We can't control what people decide to do, but what we can control is just how many offers we put out there, how many times we just ask, how many different people we ask to just get on a phone call. So caveat here is that I'm not asking you to go out there just randomly asking people, "Hey, do you want to get on a call?" Like it doesn't work like that. If you do that, you're gonna get some bites, but the conversion rate is probably gonna be really, really low, and you're probably gonna hate yourself, and you're probably gonna feel really icky and salesy doing that. So that's why the first lesson is really important. Having a framework to ask people to get on the call and set up the call as valuable is going to be really important. So that's why the first part, having the script, if you can create the gap when you do create the offer, though, when you do ask people, hey, do you want to get on the phone call? It's not just for any like random reason, right? There's got to be a reason why you're getting on the phone call. And the reason that I teach, so what I teach my teachers is that the reason that someone's going to want to get on a phone call with you is to solve that problem. So after you ask about the problem, use that to leverage them to get onto a quick phone call. And all you're, again, what we're really doing is tying it back to the first thing I said is that the DMs is not a place to sell. So we're not sharing prices or anything like that, but what we're really doing is we're using it as a bridge to move it into a more appropriate sales conversation or more appropriate sales setting, which for most people is a phone call, right? So um, doing that is going to allow you like positioning the call and offering the call as a solution to that problem is going to be the way that you're going to get more people being like, yeah, I'd love to get on a call, rather than being like, yeah, I'll get on a call because you asked, right? You want them to look forward to getting to that call. So how do we do that? Like what is a question that we can ask to do that? I like to frame it as, hey, like, hey, I've only like I'd love to talk more on Messenger, but if you think it'd be more valuable, let's hop on a quick like 5-10 minute call. We can dive deeper into this and see if or how it can help. Right? It's like something like that, super casual. We want to keep it casual really quick because if you keep it casual, people are going to want to hop on that call a lot quicker. So just for some context here is that we did book 35 calls from the DMs in 30 days. But another stat that I want you to know is that we offered 46 calls. So I started tracking how many calls we offer every single month and every single day. And we tracked 46 calls. So 46 calls, 30 of them converted into calls booked. So that's a 76% conversion rate of just asking people if they want to get on a call and them actually accepting that offer and not ghosting not ghosting us. 76%, which over like in my eyes, like there's so much more that I could probably improve on and my team could probably improve on, but it's a good number, right? And it shows the correlation between like, hey, the more calls that you actually offer, the more calls that you're actually going to book. So focus on the things that you can control, which is how many calls you're just going to offer, right? Even if the offer was simply like, "Hey, we're having a great conversation here. I'm actually heading out of the house because I got to take care of the kids. Like, I'd love to dive deeper into this. You have like 5 minutes later tomorrow. Love to chat more about this, and I think it'd be a lot quicker over a phone call." And then even offering something like that, that works. Like the amount of time that I've had to run out of the house and be like, hey, I'd love to chat. Hey, I'd love to chat more about this. But like I'm running out of the house right now. You got like 10 minutes to talk tomorrow. Would love to chat more about this, see if I can help. Most people are gonna be like, yeah, because everyone else is busy too. Nobody wants to be in the DMs just chatting all day. So asking people, hey, if it's quicker, let's just hop on a call, 5-10 minutes. We can be able to chat more about this. Most of the time, people are probably gonna be like, yeah, right. So that ties it in right there. Make more offers more often, right? And that leads into like, how do we get these conversations now? Now the question you're probably asking is like, okay, I have the script in place. I know what to do when I get to the end of the script, but like, how do I actually generate more conversations? So part of the reason why we were able to book so many calls is because I was being more active with posting more action posts. So what are action posts? I have some trainings. If you want the training for like more of like my content and my content transformational content formula, what that looks like deeper, then just post a comment below. I can be able to send that to you. I can have my team send that to you really, really quick. But action posts are pretty much posts with call to actions. So if you take a look at my group as well, you'll see a lot of posts where I'm giving out like free content, or there's a post that's like, hey, if you want this training, comment below, which is probably where this training came from, right? But what I see a lot is the problem that I see a lot with most teachers when they're doing content creation is that most teachers they post content that tries to sell. So they end up getting low engagement, and they often end up getting low amounts of calls. So instead of creating content that tries to sell, what you want to really focus on with your content is create content that generates conversations. And that's what's going to be more valuable. Because on the front end, when people actually take a look at your content, they're not going to see someone that sells. If you take a look at my content, you're never going to see a link to buy, right? Because what I want to create is I want to create content that creates conversations, that gets people to want to talk to me more, that wants to talk to our team more. And the best way to do that, though, is by leading with value. So it's not just about creating content that's like um, that's just random, right? We always want to post with a purpose, but the best way is to lead with value. So if you have like a lead magnet, like if there's a lot of marketing things out there that talk about lead magnets, if you have a lead magnet out there, go ahead and post that lead. But the main thing is lead with value. Can you give something that's going to be value for someone in exchange for a conversation with you? So, for example, this post came from a post that I posted yesterday. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about creating a video that's sharing the three biggest lessons on how we're able to book 30 calls in 35 days. Like, is that something that you guys want? Like, let me know. We got a bunch of people commenting, over 20 people, over like 20, 25 people commented on this post. Like, that gives me enough enough reassurance that like, okay, people want this. So now what that's going to allow you to do is like, if you're, depending on when you've watched this, whether I'm posting in the group or not, but you see how the system works, where I can post an action post, but then um like we can start a conversation as well, right? And what's important here is that like I I can't really control whether you want to control like continue the conversation with me or my team or not. But what I do want to make sure of is that you actually get the value that you asked for. And I love to lead with value because I love to give. And I want you to model that as well. Because the more that you give, the more likely you are to receive as well. But the best strategy is always just giving, leading with value. Um, because if you're able to do that, there's going to be a level of reciprocity that comes back to you in the future. So the way I like to do that is by posting action posts. The more action posts that I do, the more conversations that I can be able to generate. And then from there, I can use my script to be able to generate these conversations, have actual like have actual like good conversations, productive conversations, which not is I'm not just chatting just to chat, but I want to be able to diagnose your problems. I want to be able to figure out, hey, what is exactly happening in your studio? And then from there, I can be able to provide the best solution for that. So the way that I do it is the way that I want you to model it as well for your studio. So being able to lead with value first is important. When people ask for like a free training, freebie or something like that, they want to talk to you more, give that to them in the DMs. But then after that, ask them some questions about what are they doing right now? Where are they wanting to go? And then also what is a problem that's stopping from getting there? And then at the end of that, you got to make the offer to get on a call. If you don't offer to get on a call, nobody's gonna even know that you want them to get on a call on a call with. It's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like dating, right? Like the more if you don't ask someone to go on a date, like then how likely are they just gonna ask you out, right? It's like if you want to make it happen, just ask them, right? The worst thing that they could say is no. So those are the biggest takeaways so far, the three biggest lessons. Make sure you have those written down. But in the comments below, I would love to hear what your biggest takeaways are from this training and which one of these three lessons resonated with you the most, right? Which ones are maybe you having struggles with? If you got any questions, type them down below. But love to be able to help you out, send some more trainings and value your way as well. So other than that, hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.